let's type a name. Let's say harder array, okay? And then the main method here, finish. Okay, let's do step by step. We can say prompt the user for how many strings they want to enter, okay? And this one's easy. We can just do the prompt, okay? That one you know already how to do it. Let's declare a scanner. Scanner input is assigned to new scanner system.in, okay? And you can just go control space scanner, okay? That's how you get the import. So now, how do we prompt the user? System.out.println. How many strings? How many do you want? Then we can say integer. I'll just say how many. How about that? How many? It's assigned to whatever we read from the user as an integer. Input dot next int. Okay, in this case, in this particular run, it will be 3, right? So now let me show you. Now we want to say creates an array whose size corresponds to the number of strings user wants to enter. Okay, we do to do that accordingly. As soon as we get the answer from the user, we know how many strings they want to store, so we can create the array accordingly. Okay. So now, how do we do that? Okay, let's try. So you definitely want to review the syntax over the weekend. Okay, now I'll show you how to do it. We know that they're going to enter strings, so it's going to be an array of strings. String array, like that. Let's just call that, how about strings? Lowercase, strings. It's assigned to new string array. Now, what should I put here as a size? What should I put? How many, right? Exactly. That's why I said accordingly. Right? Okay. So far, so good. Okay. Why don't we try right away? For now, can we just put a breakpoint over here? If you double click, it's a breakpoint, but you cannot see that's covered by the warning, but there's a breakpoint. Just double click on this particular line. Let's try. If you go to the debugger over here, how many string? Let's say 5. Okay. Enter, and we are here, right? If you move your mouse over how many, it shows you 5. Okay, because we just entered 5 from the keyboard. If we say step over, I want you to watch over here. Let me bring the variables back. You can see currently there's no variable called strings. Let's say step over. Now you can see that there is an array of string called strings, and then it has size 5 because it got indices 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 of size 5. That's exactly what we did. Okay, so far. Okay, let's stop and then go back. So after this, we want to assign to the array position by position as we did before. Okay, we want to do that. Before we simply say, for example, strings at position 0 is assigned to some string, and strings at position 1 is assigned to some string. But this pattern here can be repeated, so that's why we can use a loop. Now, let me ask you this. How many repetitions do we need to do such reassignments? Depends on how many, right? Yeah, because if how many is 4, then that means we're going to do 4 reassignments. If that's 10 reassignments. Okay, let's try that. So we know exactly how many times we're going to run the loop. So what about a for loop? Okay, we can say for integer. Let me show you the best version over here, okay? And then I will explain why. Integer I is assigned to 0. The reason that I want to start this with 0 is because the first index I'm going to reassign will be 0, right? that'll be the leftmost position for the array. Okay. I is assigned to 0. I is less than how many I plus plus. Okay. Just by looking at the loop header, as we have learned so far, how many times are we going to execute this loop? How many repetitions are we going to get? How many? How many? How many, right? It's exactly how many, how large is how many, right? It's a bad name, actually. So here you can see, you start from, let's say how many is actually 3. So we go from 0, 1, and 2, right? That'll be exactly 3 times, which is how many? Okay? I should really rename that. Anyway. Okay, let's try this. And the loop body is incredibly simple. Okay, so first of all, we're going to ask the user to enter a string. So let's prompt system.out.println. Enter a string. Which means every time when we are repeating, we want the user to enter a new string. Okay, depending on how many is how many, right? So it's going to print that how many times. Okay. Enter a string, and then we can read it from the user. We can say string. I would say S. Okay, it's assigned to input dot next line, like that. Okay. Now, how do we store the string into the corresponding position? Right. We want to reassign this particular S to the corresponding position in the strings array. So we want to say that's the strings array. We want to go to some particular position there and reassign that to S. Okay? But what should we put here? I. Very good. Because we know I starts from 0, goes all the way up to how many minus 1. Right? How many is exactly the size of the array? How many minus 1 will be the maximum index of the array? Okay, up to now, we actually have prompted the user to enter all the strings. Okay, let's try that. It's actually quite important to know how to use debugger for the for loop. So I'll show you this time. Can we put a breakpoint just in the for loop? Okay, let's just do that. Okay, I'll try something very simple. What about how many? I'll just make it 2. Just 2. Okay, let's see how it's going to go. Let's try to debug this. Let's debug. How many strings? I'll make it 2. Okay, and we know that we are here, which means we have already executed this line already, right? So now if you go back to the variables over here, you can see strings array is of size 2, but all the contents are unknown. You got null, and you got null here, right? That's why we're gonna run the loop to keep prompting the user to enter some string, okay? So now let's try this. So now if we say step over, let's see what's gonna happen. We know that the loop counter I is initialized to be 0. And we know that how many, if you move your mouse over how many, is 2. 0 is less than or equal to 2. That means we're going to enter the loop for the very first time. Okay, let's say step over. Okay, we're going to enter that for the very first time. Okay, so now we're going to see if we say step over, something is going to be printed to the console. Enter a string. Okay, enter a string. You can see that over here. Let's enter the string. What about just A? Okay, enter and then say step over. Step over is going to execute next line, which is going to read whatever we just type from the keyboard. And then you can see that if you move your mouse over S over here, it's exactly just A, I think. So now let's just go there. S, empty string. Next line. If I do that, what's that? That's a bit weird. Shouldn't that be strings I is assigned to, let me try that again. Sorry, give me a moment. Let me try something very quickly. Okay. Oh, we're running over time, right? Okay. Wow, that's too bad. How about this? I'll stop here. I don't want to run over time. I'll go up to here, and then I'll continue from here next time. And then next time, I'm going to spend the rest of the session to do that particular problem. That one is actually more complicated than this. Okay? But I think that what you should do, of course, start assignment 3 as soon as possible. Also, start preparing for the lab test next Thursday. And meanwhile, you should really get yourself familiar with all the array sequences. Okay, I'll see you on Tuesday.